You know what I love about you is because you're so open about your homosexuality.
I think a woman just realized I was gay. She just realized I was gay. These shoes didn't tell you. The socks told her I was Jewish, but the shoes told her I was gay.
I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong?
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello and welcome back. Today we're talking about the 15th episode of The Simpsons. It's called Simpson and Delilah. It was episode number 7F02. Its original air date was October 18th of 1990. It was written by John Vitti. It was directed by Rich Moore, who actually didn't show up for this commentary. The showrunners again were Matt Groening, James L. Brooks, and Sam Simon. And obviously, this is our first episode in Season 2 to focus on Homer. So this is another of those episodes that goes pretty heavy on the emotion, but it counters that emotion with lots of over-the-top jokes, which is a very common formula for a Simpsons episode. But I still don't think this episode gets the mixture quite right, but it's much closer to the correct mixture here in Season 2 than it was in Season 1. But they just haven't started packing in the jokes yet, like they did during the David Merkin years. And it certainly isn't a bad episode by any means, but it may seem a little basic if you compare it to Homer episodes from later seasons. So if you've just finished watching an episode from Season 6, this one might seem a little run-of-the-mill, and I definitely don't see this one as a skippable episode. But I could understand if someone did, just because it is a bit average or even a little below. That said, I still think it's good, and I think a lot of the scenes with Mr. Burns and Smithers are great. Even though it is still really early in the series, and Mr. Burns and Smithers still haven't quite fully developed as characters yet. But again, they're much closer than they were in the previous season. And I would actually say that we're looking at the beginning of the Mr. Burns and Smithers arc right here in Simpson and Delilah. And we've already seen several exchanges between Homer and Mr. Burns, but it really starts to develop in this one. So let's just get started.
Hi, I'm Al Jean.
I'm John Beatty.
And this is Matt Groening.
I haven't seen this episode in a long time, but I remember the animation at the time was considered very sharp, and Rich had inherited the problem team and within 3 episodes had turned it into one of the best.
The odds are Demoxenil can help me grow as much or as little hair as I want to. Hey, today I'm gonna do it.
So this was right when minoxidil had first come out, and I know the staff was fascinated with it.
Well, some of the staff.
Most of the staff.
By now it would be most of the staff.
Yes, now.
Well, now we're fascinated with Viagra.
For your free brochure, send $5 to Demoxenil, 485 Hair Plaza, Hair City, Utah.
Hair. Just like everybody else.
Several viewers' favorite thing in the entire episode was the Gorilla Man Scalp Blaster product, which George Meyer came up with.
One thing about Homer's hair is people are surprised when they learn Homer is, 38, 39 years old, whatever we fix him at. With his hairline, they always think he's about 50. But it's depressing to me to realize I am now older than Homer.
This has to be one of the last appearances of the squiggly line Homer hair.
Yeah, I don't think so. I believe there are even some Season 3 episodes that have Homer with the squiggly hair.
$1,000 of all the rip-off screw job chip joint.
Wow, we could say screw job?
Those were the days.
Yeah.
Quit complaining, Crumb Dumb.
If I had hair, you wouldn't be calling me that.
Is this the first Lenny and Carl?
No, they appeared in Homer's Night Out in the first season.
I think their voices weren't fixed.
Probably.
And now they're what they are.
So Lenny and Carl first appeared in Homer's Night Out, but they got the voices all wrong.
Hey, don't worry. Things are going to pick up once the entertainment gets here. Ooh. Now, this is what I call a party.
Lenny was also in Life on the Fast Lane, and they actually got his voice correct in that one.
Ain't you hungry, Homer?
Life on the Fast Lane was produced after Homer's Night Out, but it actually aired before it.
Like many male duos on our show, there's now an implicit gay component to their relationship.
I'd like to charge that Demoxenil stuff to my health insurance. Look, buddy, I don't know who put you up to this, but no insurance plan in this state covers something as frivolous as Demoxenil.
Homer's pretty much sounding like Homer, too.
Oh,
what happened to his hair?
His hair's missing.
That's terrible.
We'll have to fix that.
Yeah. What was our retake budget in these days? They must have noticed it. I've never noticed it before.
Well, it was a lot less, and I remember, no one quite knew how to budget an animated primetime show, especially one that was ambitious as this. So in the early season, we were incurring a big overage, at least based on what the budget was. Now we know what it's supposed to be.
I remember we used to make long lists of things to fix, and then we'd always have to pick and choose.
Yeah, it's still true, although we certainly have more freedom now than we did before.
I think, too, that this episode had a lot of reshoots. Not that there was anything terribly wrong with the animation, but it was one of the early second season episodes, and it was right when we started going up against the Cosby Show, so there was a lot of anxiety about that.
It was typical where, when we wanted to get certain things in the budget, we'd always just say, we have to fight Cosby. Like, just, you find some sort of excuse.
Meet me in the alley in 15 minutes.
I always thought it was hilarious that he got so much hair in one night. I think really minoxidil just arrests the hair loss, but doesn't really grow that much new hair.
Yeah, it just started out as a way to avoid lawsuits that we called it Demoxidil, and then we realized we could make up whatever rules we wanted since we weren't calling it the actual thing.
Demoxidil!
That's good. That's good dancing.
This is one of those episodes, too, where, Homer loses the insurance at the end, so he doesn't have the Demoxidil, but you realize the chemical could still give him hair anytime.
Yes, and he's wasted so much money since then. If I were him, I would go back and get the Demoxidil.
Homer Simpson, why, you haven't been here in 20 years. Hey, you got rid of the sideburns.
Give me the usual.
Oh, this is the barber from the Tracy Ullman show. He used to talk like Floyd the barber from the Andy Griffith show.
I must be in heaven.
This is Homer.
Of all the hairstyles Homer has in this episode, I believe I like this one the best. Just because it kind of reminds me of Lego hair.
Oh my. Patty, stop drooling. Look who's talking.
And there's the power plant crow, who is on almost all establishing shots of the power plant. We hear that crow. No one ever notices it. Lorena Adamson always makes sure that it gets put in.
Lorena told me that 2 years ago, and now you can't miss it once you know it.
Morons, pathetic morons in my employ, stealing my precious money.
Was this the first security camera in the power plant where you see Burns with his bank of monitors?
Could it be? I hope so. I'll pretend it was.
Who is that young go-getter?
People know the running joke in the early years where, although Burns had met Simpson many, many times, and when this aired, had already seen him much in season one, he still didn't remember his name.
I wonder when the first time was when he forgot him. I don't think it's this.
Well, it sort of looks like Homer Simpson, only more dynamic and resourceful. Simpson, eh? A new junior executive.
Here's that crow.
I give great back rubs to harried executives. Here, let me show you.
No, that'll be fine. Thank you. Goodbye.
That voice is Pamela Hayden, I believe, who's also the voice of Milhouse on our show.
Hello, Mr. Simpson. I'm Carl.
This, of course, is Harvey Fierstein playing Carl. And the joke in the episode is obviously he has a crush on Homer, but it's never clear to Homer.
I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong? He sounds good. Hire him.
I am nature's greatest miracle.
Harvey Fierstein was one of the first Simpsons guest stars who actually was not ashamed to admit that he had appeared on The Simpsons.
Yeah, there used to be sort of a practice where guest stars would do it as long as we didn't use their name on the closing credits. Like Albert Brooks was A. Brooks, and there were some that we still can't reveal their identities.
Who?
Oh, don't ask.
It may not be the most important wall of prejudice that Harvey Fierstein ever helped break down, but it's up there.
Let's go shopping.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, people often enjoy the sign jokes, the freeze frame jokes we put in an episode. Usually they take more time to write than the rest of the script, sometimes 2 or 3 hours on a single sign. And the irony is not lost on us of how much time we're wasting.
Also, just because the sign gets written doesn't mean it's always seen, because often characters are posed in front of the sign. So you can't even read it.
Yeah, and we've had trouble originally, not lately, but the animators are Korean, so they're not used to writing English characters, so sometimes the signs would be a little bit hard to see.
Well, that's a much nicer room than we got Harvey Fierstein, apparently. Jay Kogan just told me today that he told us when he came in for the recording session, we had bought him a hotel room with obvious semen stains on the headboard.
Nothing too good for our guest stars.
I hate it when they're obvious.
Our first issue, sir, is our low productivity and record high worker accident rate.
Any suggestions?
Mr. Burns seemed to have gotten a lot of independence from this board as the show has progressed.
He seems somewhat intimidated here, you're right.
I like the cut of your jib, Simpson.
That's a template we've used again and again where just Homer is sort of like Peter Sellers and being there says something stupid and it gets him a promotion or a great deal.
Let the fools have their tartar sauce.
Boy, Homer looks a lot better with hair, doesn't he? It really does make a difference.
Jim Brooks has just joined us, making a dramatic entrance as usual.
This whole show is so interior and talky. I meant to apologize for Rich Moore for writing it this way, but he didn't show up, so forget it.
I remember, for psychological reasons I don't wish to explore, that Burns and Smithers made us laugh more than any other two people on the show.
They did, except then we would screen the show and you get huge laughs, and then they would come out and there'd be kind of hitters. It was very, very disconcerting. Although people do tell me, a lot of people say Burns is their favorite character.
But we love the love. We love the Smithers.
Yeah.
I remember story meetings where 5 writers in a row would pitch a Burns and Smithers story and would immediately be shot down for that reason.
No, and meanwhile, you see Bart on every T-shirt, and American Fox is going, "What are you giving us?"
Oh, hey ho, men. You know, I was watching the Dumont last night, and I happened to catch a fascinating documentary on Rummel, the desert fox. Now, there's a man who could get things done.
That's an allusion to the Dumont Network, the 4th TV network in the 50s.
That's why I'm the only one laughing.
I was very excited when I found out the Fox network is actually descended from the Dumont Network. So this is perhaps an homage.
Is that true?
The Metro Media stations, which were the core of the Fox network, were the remnants of the Dumont Network.
Of course, Rupert's lineage now runs to everything that exists on Earth. So
This was beautifully done.
Great crosses all there, you notice, with the tile and the windows.
Yeah, it was still at the stage where the directors were adding these things and just amazing us. And then as we saw them, 9 months later, we realized we could create more opportunities for them.
Demoxenil. Keep brain from freezing? Now I've got you, Simpson.
You know, a lot of men want to know more about Rogaine with minoxidil. If you're one of them, I have good news for you. Now there's a video prepared especially for men who want answers to their questions about Rogaine. For your free videotape that gives you the complete story on Rogaine with minoxidil and your $10 certificate, call toll-free 1-800-477-8996. So what are you waiting for? Make the call today.
And what does my little girl want?
An absence of mood swings and some stability in my life.
How about a pony?
Okay.
Well, Yardley had an easy week this week.
Well, that was typical, too, where when we think of episode ideas later, we go, oh, yeah, remember that pony? Let's give her that. Anything we could take from earlier shows. There was a conscious effort to give Homer a different hairstyle in pretty much every scene he was in.
Carl, you gotta help me. Mr. Burns wants me to make some speech to his executives and...
Wow, the days of typewriters.
Yeah, he's still on a typewriter. That's amazing.
Well, we had typewriters in our fax office till 96.
What do you want? Oh, just thought I'd drop by to tell you that you're fired.
What?
How many times has Homer been fired on the run of the series?
We stopped even doing it. It just seemed like, what's the point after a while?
No, he stops going to work starting about the 6th season, right?
Yeah.
He just... When we need him, he's at work.
I take full responsibility.
Really? Oh.
Okay, you're broke. You're flat broke. You don't have Carl anymore. He's not here, but you've got your hair. That's right, it's all about hair. Oh, that big speech.
You see how I slipped the exposition in here so you don't even notice it?
Bart, what are you doing?
Uh-oh.
Ah!
Ah!
Why, you little...
Uh-oh.
Ah! Ah!
I don't know if we've talked about the strangling on the DVDs yet, but it is a pretty horrific thing we just make light of pretty frequently.
Well, they originated on the shorts in the Trace Ullman show, and it was the cartoony aspect of those shorts that I actually enjoyed. But I had a rule for them, in that Homer could only strangle Bart in impulsive fury, and it couldn't last. And if you look at the old Trace Ullman shorts, Bart often strangles him back.
The next swing was we stopped making that so dramatic, didn't we? As you say,
yeah,
we moved uptown.
That's the secret of our success.
I don't have $1,000. But you do, don't you, Marge? You do. You've been squirreling it away, haven't you? Saving it for a rainy day. That's what you said, right?
Notice how Homer goes right for Marge's hair, suggesting that he was only pretending to not know where the Christmas money was in the first episode of season 1.
Turn around. You can look now.
Oh, big jar this year.
Oh, homie, I'm so sorry.
Good luck, sir.
I was always amused too, just by the complete lack of motivation for his devotion to Homer. There's no reason whatsoever.
My mother taught me never to kiss a fool.
Now, that was historic, and I think it slipped right by America. October 18th, 1990. I don't think that had been done on American TV. Certainly very rarely for an animated show. Perhaps the Woody Woodpecker, but...
well, Bugs Bunny was always kissing Elmer Fudd. I think that's how we sort of...
Oh, that was our justification.
Yeah, what was going on there?
So Groening wonders how this slipped by America. How what slipped by America? I'm sorry, but if there is some hidden pro-gay statement in this joke, I'm just not seeing it. There's absolutely nothing romantic going on here at all. And I think it's a little ridiculous to even suggest it. The gay man kissed the straight man on the lips and patted him on the ass. What's the political statement here? I don't think there is one.
Carl.
Now go get him, Tiger.
Rawr! This bald man has no ideas.
This is a joke. I'm not laughing.
Some nerve telling us how to run the plant. He doesn't even have hair.
So here in this scene, I definitely see a subtext statement being made. But it isn't very political. It's really more of a statement on human behavior in general. The way they reject ideas based solely on the looks of the person espousing them. And in Homer's case, it's socially acceptable. That's why the entire auditorium emptied out.
Inefficiently mining uranium that can be purchased quite cheaply on the foreign markets.
I'm not sure Smithers is in love with Burns by this point, is he?
Well, in the Telltale Head in season 1, Burns says, "I love you, Smithers," and Smithers says the feeling is more than mutual. But I think it wasn't quite played out as it was later. It was actually, one thought was to give it the same sort of attitude as the Carl relationship to Homer in this episode. We just thought that it was like a funny runner to have week after week.
You should bring Carl back.
Yeah, he was very funny.
Get Carl back. Get Carl with Smithers. Give Smithers a moment of happiness.
Dead man coming through.
Mr. Burns only seems to be about 80 years old, judging by those photos, too.
I'm only 81.
Yeah, it varies between 80 and about 200. Various shows. I also wonder why he doesn't get the Moxinol himself. He's so unhappy about being bald. Surely he could afford it.
You see, Simpson, I too know the sting of male pattern baldness.
In the early years, too, we often ended in the bedroom with Homer and Marge. You know, sort of a things are okay moment after the show itself had been so bleak.
'Cause I'm ugly and bald.
Dan's playing of Homer has just gotten more and more filled with gusto, I think, over the years. Just something became unbridled. He just started to maneuver within it more and more.
Part of it, I think, was him getting more comfortable with the voice. You know, earlier doing the Walter Matthau was a little bit of an impression, and now it's just second nature voice.
You are so beautiful to me.
Well done.
Great show.
Beautiful show.
Wow, that ending will give you diabetes. I always forget this is the one that has that ending. Simpson and Delilah is far from the best episode in season 2. In fact, I'd say it's quite below average. But in my opinion, this is the episode where the development of Mr. Burns and Smithers begins. And while they both showed up quite often in season 1, they were very one-dimensional characters. Mr. Burns is Homer's mean boss, and Smithers is his brown-nosing assistant. That was pretty much it. But in this one, you can see the beginnings of much more complexity. And that's why I don't recommend skipping this one, even though it is quite bland for a Simpsons episode. It's just a must-watch for anyone who loves episodes involving Mr. Burns and Smithers. Other than that, there really isn't a whole lot to say about it. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the original Treehouse of Horror episode. Thanks for watching, I'll see you then.